Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I have for you a story about how I became friends and then sisters with this wonderful woman named Summer. It all started freshman year, towards the end of freshman year actually. Well, kind of in the middle towards the end, if you know what I mean. And it was just a normal day. I was in, I want to say, fourth period. Well, we got informed that a new student would be joining our class, and I'll give you a little bit of background on how I looked because that's a little bit important to the story. I didn't have a tattoo. I didn't have some of the piercings that I have now. I actually had I think I just had like 2 facial piercings, and that's it. But I had half and half hair, kind of like I do now, but one half was pink and one half was blue. I had it crimped, so it was all wavy and poofy, and it was a lot longer than it is now. My hair is only to my shoulders now, and it used to be a lot longer than that. But anyway, like I said, it was a normal day. We just got informed that we were getting a new student that would be joining our class. We got told what her name was and a little bit of background information on her, like where she was from, what school she had attended, things like that. I sat at the front of the classroom. There was a desk behind me that was empty, and then like just a normal everyday classroom setup. She came into our classroom. She sat down behind me, and so I guess another way I can explain this is the teacher's desk was on the far side of the classroom, and then there was a shorter row, and then the next row is the one that I sat in, and my desk was at the front, and then she sat right behind me. And then there were like 3 other rows beside us leading to the door of the classroom. My boyfriend at the time, who I am not with anymore, was also in the class. And he sat, I'm pretty sure, behind Summer. And she came in, she was a shy girl, she didn't talk. Just like the normal new student vibes. Well, after class was over, everybody else was heading to lunch, and I kind of stayed behind because I needed to pack up my stuff. I was a very organized person at that point, and I got up to leave the classroom, and the teacher stopped me. And I was really, really, really close with this teacher in high school. So when she stopped me, I was like, do you need? I was also in like an after school group that this teacher ran. So I asked her, I was like, "Are you stopping me because you need help this afternoon with one of our upcoming projects or something like that?" And she's like, "No, it involves it involves our new student." And I was like, "Okay." And she goes, so she's new to the area altogether. She doesn't know anybody here. I know that you're good at making friends, so why don't you introduce yourself to her and get her to feel comfortable and maybe join our after school group and just make her feel at home. And I was like, "Okay, I can do that." Well, I went to lunch. I didn't see her anywhere at lunch. So I thought that was kind of weird. And I didn't have any other classes with her the rest of the day. So I went home from school that day, and that none of that's important. The next day, I went to school, went through the morning class periods as normal, got to fourth period when I had a class with this girl, and she came in, she sat behind me. We got told that we would be doing this school or this classroom activity, and we were going to need a partner. So I thought, this is a perfect chance. So I turned around whenever we were getting our partners and stuff. And I was like, "Hi, my name's Jade, and do you want to be my partner for this?" And she was like, she just looked at me like, "Hey, why the fuck are you talking to me? You're a crazy bitch." And uh, I don't blame her at all, but she said yes, and her and I just we didn't really do the activity at all. This was kind of like a side class. It wasn't like a normal class. So it didn't matter if we slacked off or not. We weren't really being graded, if you know what I mean. So her and I just kind of sat and talked, and like my boyfriend was over there too and talking to us, and so her and I got to know each other. I was like, I didn't see you yesterday at lunch. I didn't know if maybe you were being shown around to other classrooms or something like that, but I have a group of friends that I sit with at lunch if you want to come and sit with us. And she was like, "Oh, I eat my lunch in the office." And I was like, "You don't have to eat your lunch by yourself. You can sit with me and my group of friends." And finally, I kind of forced her to. I was like, "No, today, instead of going and getting your food and then going to the office and sitting in there by yourself, you're gonna go with me to the lunchroom. We're gonna stand in line together. We're gonna get our food, and you're gonna come sit down with me and my group of friends." And she was like, "Okay." And we got to lunch after that class. We got our food. We went and sat down. I, you know, uh, introduced her to all the people that I was friends with at that time, and we all just kind of told her a little bit about each of us and blah blah blah. Basically, the basic introducing somebody. And as time went on, her and I got super super close. Well, you don't really know how fucked up a person's life is until you get super close with them and you start, learning a lot of deep, dark secrets, I guess you could say, about a person. So, one night, she asked me if I wanted to come over and spend the night, and I was like, yeah, I don't have a problem with that. And so she told me her address. I got my bag packed. My mom took me over to her house. I stayed the night. Whenever I got there, I was like, "Oh my God, you live in an old church." And she was like, "Yeah, I know." And I walked in and she introduced me. Her dad and her little brother were living with a close friend of their family. So her dad was at work, so she introduced me to the people that she was living with and her little brother. And then we went into her room, which she shared a room with her little brother as well. And we just getting to know each other and all that. Like, I mean, we were still in the phase of getting to know each other still. And we had a really fun night. And then the next day, I think it was a weekend that I stayed. I'm pretty sure it was a weekend that I stayed. Anyway, I went home, and then the next school day followed. So there was a couple of days in between, but I'm talking about like the next school day, the next time that we saw each other. I went to school, was expecting to see her, didn't see her the whole morning, so I was like, okay, I'll see her in fourth period. Got to fourth period, she wasn't there. And so I texted her and I was like, "Hey, where are you at?" And she texted me back and she's like, "I had to stay home from school today to watch my little brother. He's not in school yet, and my dad had to work and he didn't have anybody to watch him, so I had to stay home." Because all the people that they were living with were also at work or going to do something that day, so there was absolutely nobody to watch her little brother like there normally is. So she had to stay at home, and I was like, "That's not right. So I texted my mom and I told my mom what was going on because my mom and I were kind of close at that time. And my mom was like, yeah, that's not right. And I don't really know how everything I can't remember how everything happened next, but I just know that it because of that situation, it ended up following that like Summer came to stay with me a lot to make sure that she got to school, and her little brother was taken care of. Don't worry for anybody, out there that's gonna worry. Her little brother was taken care of. But she came to stay with me a lot, and then it eventually turned into her living with me, like full time living with me, but still going to see her dad and her brother every once in a while. Well, her dad and her little brother moved out of the house that they were living in, well, the old church that they were living in with this group of people, and he ended up moving into a motel. Well, the motel was kind of on the borderline of the school district that Summer and I were in, and another school district. So if she started living with her dad again, she was going to have to go to a totally different school, have to do everything, the whole shebang all over again. So to stop that from happening, her dad was like, you're just going to live with Jade as long as her parents are 100% okay with that, which my parents were. So she came she came to live with me so that she could continue going to the same school that she had been. Her little brother was then enrolled in the other school, and he started going to school. Her dad was still working, etc. Well, eventually, during this time period, Summer told me that she was going to go and stay with another family member in the next town over. And I was like, okay, as long as your dad's okay with it and my parents are okay with it, I don't care. Well, I then later found out that she had lied to all of us, and she actually went to go party with a friend in this town. She got in trouble. Her dad had to go and pick her up from jail. Her dad was so mad at her that he ended up saying, you can't live with Jade anymore. I will make sure that you get to school still. I guess during this time it was the summer, so we didn't have to worry about school, but she had to go back and live with her dad and her brother in this motel and take care of her brother. That was part of her punishment. Well, then it was getting closer to school starting back up again. So her dad was like, you can go back and live with Jade. And we carried on as normal. She came back, she started living with me again. We started going to school. Everything was how it normally was. She apologized to my parents, obviously, for doing what she did. And kids will be kids. That's basically what my parents told her, was kids will be kids. At least you didn't get hurt. Well, then, it got closer to my 17th birthday. Okay, so my birthday is December 9th. I'd say this probably took place December 7th. Her dad came to see her. She had a job at this time, so he was coming to see her before she had to go to work, give her some money for work, and blah, blah, blah. Well, they went and they spent the day together. When they got back, he said something a little off, but nobody gave it a second thought, like they probably should have. And when he dropped her off, he looked at her, and I was standing right next to her outside, and he was like, just know that if anything ever happens to me, you're a little brother and you are taken care of. I have made sure of that. And then they said their goodbyes, as they normally did, and her and I went inside, and her dad left. Well, the next day happened, and then my birthday came. We celebrated my birthday. December 10th came, and she was at work. I had just woke up. I get a knock on the door from, so her dad moved out of the motel, got a girlfriend, moved in with her, and moved in with his girlfriend, and his girlfriend had a daughter. Well, his girlfriend's daughter knocked on my door, which I instantly thought, oh my God, there's something wrong with her little brother. This isn't good. I opened the door. I could tell that there was something wrong, and she was like, John, which is Summer's dad, John is in the hospital in Fort Wayne. He shot himself in the head. And I was like, I was taken back by that. And she then explained to me that she wanted me to tell Summer when she got off work what had happened to her dad. And I was like, how, as a best friend, how do I tell her something like this? So that person left. I sat down on the couch thinking everything over. Next thing that I know, Summer is coming busting through my front door, my parents' front door. Fell into my lap, was bawling, explaining everything. I was like, I already know. I started crying, and I was like, what can I do for you? I am here for you. What do you want me to do? And she was like, will you go wake up your mom? And I was like, yeah, I can do that. So I went back there, and I woke up my mom. I told my mom what happened, and she came out. She comforted Summer, and some time had went on, and Summer was like, I'm gonna go and see my dad and spend some time with him and see, where he's at and all this and that. And I had then gotten some information saying that her dad had only 2% brain activity, and that basically the machines were keeping him alive. And if he didn't gain any more brain activity, they were going to have to pull the plug. I stayed by Summer's side. I couldn't be at the hospital, but I was there. If she needed to text me, if she needed to call me, if she needed a shoulder to cry on, I was there for her. Well, the 11th, they pulled the plug, and her dad passed away. Because she was only staying and living with us through her dad's permission, she had to come home to our house, pack up all of her stuff, and move to the next living relative. Well, since her mom wasn't capable of having her, she had to go live with her aunt and uncle. And her brother went there too. Her brother was not excluded from this equation at all. Her and her little brother went and lived with their aunt and uncle. And things just didn't go the way that they should have. They basically accepted her little brother a little bit more than they did her, and some things had happened, and basically it got narrowed down to she was going to move back in with us, and her little brother was going to stay there with their aunt and uncle. And how this was going to happen was, obviously, foster care was going to get involved, because they were foster children to the state now that her dad had died. And so my parents had to go through a long process, and eventually Summer got the okay to move back in with us. My parents then became foster parents, and she became their foster child. She became my foster sister. And eventually, with time going on, my parents got the opportunity to adopt her, but because she was a foster child, or is a foster child to the state until she turns 26, she gets insurance and help from the state, from her foster, whatever it's called. But she basically just gets help from them no matter what until she turns 26. So instead of my parents adopting her, she just stayed a foster child to the state. She is 20 years old. She has her own family. She does not live with my parents anymore. She hasn't for a while. She has a boyfriend, and a daughter of her own. Her and I are still super close. She's actually the one that gave me the idea to make this video. And to be completely honest, if I didn't have her in my life, things just would not be the same. She is an amazing, amazing person, and I am so happy that I took a leap and turned around in class that day and asked her to be my friend, asked her to be my partner in class that day and all that, because if I would have just ignored the fact that she was there and treated her like any other student, we wouldn't be where we are today, and I wouldn't have a sister like I do. And it's amazing. She's an amazing person, and I'm happy that I got to come on here and tell you guys our story, because I'm sure that there are other people out there that relate to this. And all I have to say now is if you like this video, please hit the like button. If you want to watch more storytime videos from my life and some crazy shit that has happened, hit the subscribe button. Show me some love. And I hope you guys have an amazing day. Bye.